All right, let me tell you how my life turned into a squatter soap opera so wild. If you saw it on TV, you'd swear it was a parody. Ready? Because what happened to me could happen to anybody with a little bad luck and a lot of paperwork. And yeah, if you're eating breakfast right now, maybe put down the fork for a second. So picture this. I'm standing in the doorway of the A-frame cabin I just bought 3 months ago. Legit deed in my hand, feeling like a king. My truck's out front, still dusty from the mountain roads, packed with every tool I own, and a couple I probably don't know how to use yet. This was supposed to be my escape, my fresh start. Instead, what do I see? A woman in an apron thinks suburban Karen, but upgraded for mountain life flipping pancakes in my kitchen. She points a spatula at me and snaps. This is our family cabin since the 80s, sweetie. You're trespassing. Now, I wish I could say I handled that like a movie hero. Quick, clever comeback. Everyone laughs, roll credits. But no, I just stood there, mouth open, bacon sizzling behind her coffee, brewing kids laughing upstairs. Family photos plastered across the walls. I'd planned to tear down bikes blocking the porch herbs, growing exactly where I'd wanted my workshop. My property, my dream, had apparently turned into a Kelworth family summer camp. I tried to reason with her. I told her, ma'am, this is my property. Here's the deed. She just waved her spatula like it was a judge's gavel and said, good luck proving that up here, honey. You ever feel your blood boiling so hot you start to taste metal? That was me. This family had hijacked my renovation and turned it into their own little mountain nightmare, and now I was the villain. So let me ask you, what would you do in my boots? Call the cops. Argue. Walk away. And honestly, what state do you live in? Because in some places, justice comes fast. Others, well, you might as well take up whittling while you wait for the law. Comment below. Drop your state. I want to know because if you've ever fought a squatter, you know this ain't a fairy tale. Let me back up, though, and explain how I wandered straight into the gates of Karen Hell. My name's Jake Morrison. I'm 34, and I used to be just a regular electrician in Phoenix. Until my wife left, took the house, the dog, and half my sanity. What did she leave me? 50 grand and a need to vanish somewhere so remote, even lawyers would get lost looking for me. Then I see this A-frame online, 1970s time capsule, 2.5 acres of thick pine forest, no neighbors, no cell service. Estate sale owner dead, no family. The photos looked like they were taken with a potato spiderweb's rat poop. That beautiful nobody's been here in years look. I spoke fluent power tool and desperately needed alone time. This place was perfect. I did it all by the book inspection title, search, escrow, the whole deal. The estate attorney was an old-timer buried in files, just happy to get rid of one more headache. 3 months ago, I drove away with the deed, the smell of pine in the air, thinking finally something that's actually mine. Fast forward to this morning, my kitchen is now a pancake circus. Meet the stars of my new personal horror movie, The Kelworths. Brenda, 52, XH. OA tyrant, retired after whispers of embezzlement, thinks living in the mountains gives her instant authenticity. She has that Karen energy that could curdle cream at 50 paces. Her husband Dale looks like a survivalist, acts like he's auditioning for Drunk History Appalachia. And their kid Trevor, 17, kicked out of school for anger issues with a stare that says future true crime podcast. Brenda plays the victim with Oscar-level drama. She claims her precious Uncle Harold promised them this cabin in 1995. She waves some crumpled notebook paper at me. Tears and all, we've been the caretakers guarding the family legacy. She wails. Fun, legal fact, you need 15 years of open, continuous occupation for adverse possession to even be a conversation in this state. They'd moved in 8 months ago. The owner died 18 months back, so this place was empty for almost a year before they showed up. Legally, they were trespassers. But try explaining that to people who think a handwritten letter is the Magna Carta. Meanwhile, Dale tries the good cop routine. Look, city boy, maybe we work something out. You got cash, we got sweat equity. Mountain partnership. I told them point blank, no deals, no partnerships with squatters. That's when Brenda's fake smile turned to ice. Up here, Honey Mountain justice works different. You can't just wave government papers and expect folks to scatter. Government papers, by the way, being my legal deed. I left chewing gravel as I walked back to my truck, but here's the real kick in the teeth they'd gotten ahead of me. Brenda had already called the county clerk, filed police reports, painted themselves as victims before I even knew there was a game. At the county office, a board clerk confirmed my deed, but tossed in a by the way, there's been some concern about this sale. Sheriff's deputy civil matter pal, lawyer up, like I had lawyer money left after buying a house. The next blow came at Betty's Diner. I walk in and the owner doesn't even let me sit down before announcing, "You're that California scammer trying to steal the Kelworth family cabin." "Right, California lady, I'm from Arizona." But Brenda had poisoned the well, told anyone who'd listen that I was some out-of-state con man with fake papers. As I sat there with betrayal-flavored coffee, Trevor was out in the parking lot scratching scammer into my tailgate with a key. This wasn't a property dispute. This was psychological warfare mountain style. And I was losing. 3 days later, I'm nursing a gas station coffee when a guy in a cheap suit walks up. "Jake Morrison, you're being served." Brenda had hired herself a lawyer, a real ambulance chaser, with TV ads and a billboard face. The paperwork accused me of harassment, claimed the Kelworths had adverse possession rights, and wait for it, demanded $100,000 for emotional damages for living in my house. Plus, they filed for a restraining order, said I'd threatened their safety, so now I was banned from my own property until the hearing. That night, I went full research mode. Thank God for my ex-brother-in-law's law degree. Turns out the Kelworths' legal wizardry had a fatal flaw. They needed 15 years for adverse possession, not 8 months. Even better, the clock doesn't start until the dead guy's estate is settled. And I was the new owner, meaning they basically admitted to trespassing in writing. Time to get my own legal pit bull. Enter Maria Santos Sharp, fearless, recommended by every contractor I knew. Her office smelled like leather and confidence. She leafed through the Kelworths' fantasy lawsuit and grinned. They're claiming squatters' rights from before they even lived here. Please. She found public records that showed the Kelworths never paid property tax. Meanwhile, I'd already gotten my first bill and paid it. Even better, Brenda's Uncle Harold, not related. The real Harold was a distant cousin who sold the property in 1987, years before the promise letter. Maria said, "They're desperate. Desperate people get dangerous. Watch your back." And she was right. I started parking down the road and hiking up through the woods. Restraining order meant I couldn't confront them, but nobody said I couldn't watch. Every morning, the same routine. The Kelworths didn't even live there full time. They'd drive up at 8 a.m., spend the day playing house, then head back to a rental in town by 4 p.m. According to Betty's Diner gossip, they were 3 months behind on rent. Armed with that, Maria and I put together our counterattack document, the fake residency challenge, the adverse possession, and exposed them for what they were. But they weren't done. Suddenly, Kelworth family land signs were everywhere on my property. Dale started improving things, specifically destroying the original stone fireplace and putting in some Vegas casino monstrosity. Brenda found her entrepreneurial spirit charging hunters $20 a pop to park during deer season. She even advertised authentic mountain parking online, the final cherry on top. Brenda's Facebook campaign, my license plate plastered everywhere, calling me a scammer. Within hours, my phone blew up with threats. Someone even smashed my windshield mountain justice right. Brenda's next move, a barbecue on my deck to save our mountain heritage. Everyone was invited except me. They spun stories about evil developers, fake documents, corporate greed. They painted me as some rich flipper coming to destroy tradition. But while they were playing PR, I was recording everything. Photos, videos, notes their fake residency, the so-called improvements their side hustles. Then, Dale started selling firewood my trees cut down and sold on Craigslist for a couple grand, my future backyard clear cut. I tailed him on his runs, recorded the deals, built my case. That's when the insurance scam surfaced. They'd filed a claim for storm damage on a roof that was never damaged using a fake lease with the dead owner. I realized these weren't just squatters, they were criminal entrepreneurs. Maria was delighted. This isn't a civil dispute anymore, Jake. This is organized fraud. And she was right, because the deeper we dug, the more we found. Motor oil poured in the creek on purpose. Protected wetlands churned into mud by ATVs. Fake residency papers, benefits fraud, tax evasion. They weren't just stealing my house, they were trying to turn the land toxic drive, down the value, collect the insurance, and bail. But here's the twist: the town started waking up. Frank Morrison from the hardware store called me. Hey, Jake, Kelworth's tried opening a credit account using your address. Betty had a stack of bounced checks. Mrs. Patterson retired. Teacher organized a neighbor watch. Suddenly, the community was documenting every illegal move. Every time the Kelworths harassed someone, keyed a car, or tried to bribe a neighbor, we had it on record. Then came Thanksgiving. Brenda's entire extended family showed up in busted RVs, and ATs set up camp, turned my property into a dump. Dale started collecting rent from relatives, building a case for adverse possession on paper anyway. But their environmental carnage was the last straw. Dale was emptying oil straight into the creek while Trevor filmed it for TikTok. They were trying to destroy the property, so I'd be forced to sell cheap, then cash in on the insurance. I found Dale's notebook pages of calculations: how much to contaminate, how little to sell, how much insurance to collect. They were running this like a business. Maria and I started assembling the federal dream team: prosecutor, environmental attorney, insurance investigator, the works. We installed more cameras, trackers, sensors, documented every crime. And then the magic happened. My title company found the original 1987 deed with a family rights waiver, all future claims null and void. Brenda's precious promise letter. Legally, it wasn't worth the paper it was scribbled on. The coup de grace came from a surprise ally, Trevor's girlfriend, Madison. Turns out, even in criminal families, you can't trust a teenage romance. She called me Jake. They're planning to burn your house down for the insurance money Saturday night. I've got photos, text, everything. She sent it all: Trevor, Dale, Brenda, planning the arson like it was a holiday tradition. So, Thanksgiving weekend, I rolled up with a renovation crew. 3 federal agents, 2 environmental specialists, a fire investigator. Channel 7 parked across the road, cameras rolling. On my property, the Kelworths 47 deep frying turkeys and barbecuing on the deck. Dale's chainsawing the last oak tree, Brenda ready for her close-up, Trevor acting for the cameras. The moment of reckoning: environmental officer steps up, declares the place a federal crime scene. I produce the original deed. Maria lays out the legal facts. Insurance investigator reveals the fake claim. Agents show the gasoline cans and texts. And then the neighbors step up: Frank, Betty, Mrs. Patterson, Madison, all with evidence. Handcuffs, citations, child services. Brenda melts down. Dale blames California liberals. The extended family packs into evidence vans. As their trash is hauled out and the creek is cleaned up, I finally sit on my deck and breathe for the first time in months. Justice Mountain style. 6 months later, the restitution money funds a nature trail and restoration project. My cabin is now the trailhead center, before and after photos on the wall. The Kelworths. Brenda, 3 years federal prison, 5. On probation, no more computers. Dale, 5 years inside, learning that federal inmates don't love environmental criminals. Trevor, military service and apology letters as part of his deal. Extended family probation and bans from the county. The community stronger than ever. We celebrate the Mountain Heritage Festival with real values, real accountability. Betty's Diner is the unofficial war room the nature trail draws. Tourist property values bounce back. Maria now lectures about our case at law conferences. Sarah Kim, the scientist who led the creek restoration, we're dating. Funny how life flips the script. But what stuck with me, and what I hope sticks with you, is this justice isn't about anger. It's about patience, documentation, and community. Criminals rely on you giving up, getting tired, walking away. If you stand your ground, if you organize, if you keep receipts, even the best laid scams unravel. The Kelworths weren't just after my house. They wanted to break me, make the problem so toxic I'd quit. But they underestimated what happens when a community gets involved. That right there is the real win. Now, let me throw this out there. Was it worth it? 3 years, a mountain of stress, dozens of new friends, a renovated property, and a criminal family behind bars. Would you fight or would you walk? Where's the line between defending your rights and getting swallowed by the system? Drop your thoughts below. Have you dealt with neighbors like this? Ever been the victim of a con? Or maybe you see it differently. Maybe you think there's another side to the story. Whatever it is, share your story, your state, your take on justice right here. Because sometimes knowing you're not alone makes all the difference. And, hey, I'll be back with another wild one soon. Trust me, the mountains are full of stories.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.